let's talk about the top 5 villages and cities in Fortaleza to consider. Hello there, my name is Luciano Oliveira, I am a Brazilian attorney, and today we are here in Fortaleza, also known as Fortaleza, Ceará, and we're going to be talking about the top 5 villages and small cities for foreign citizens to consider. Of course, it's going to depend on what you're looking for. Also, if you are older and you need access to healthcare, hospitals, you want to be closer to Fortaleza. And Fortaleza is the capital of Ceará, and it has a really good infrastructure. It has like hospitals, restaurants, luxury neighborhoods, and that's where most of the developed resources in the state are. So if you are older, you don't want to get too much into the state, because in this case, you wouldn't have access to the same quality of healthcare and services. So without further ado, the top 5 villages and cities. The first one is Morro Branco. The translation for Morro Branco could be the White Mountain. The reason for that is the sand in the shoreline, it's really whitish, it's really clear and beautiful. And Morro Branco is actually a village within the city of Beberibe. And Beberibe and Morro Branco is about a 1-hour drive south of Fortaleza. So it makes it very convenient for people flying from other countries to access Morro Branco. There are many flights, direct flights from Europe into Fortaleza. There are direct flights from the US, for instance, from Miami. As it is a direct flight, it makes much easier for you to arrive in Fortaleza, to take, like, it could be public transportation, it could be an Uber, it could be a cab. You have multiple options. Some of the hotels in Morro Branco, they will even send someone to pick you up at the airport. In addition to that, the landscape is phenomenal in Morro Branco. There are geological formations. It looks like a labyrinth, and you can find all colors of sand. It's really beautiful. In addition to that, Morro Branco is also a fisherman village. The culture and the feeling that you have in this village is very unique, and again, because it's so close to Fortaleza and Beberibe itself, which is the municipality where Morro Branco is, it's growing steadily over time, so you have access to Fortaleza and also the city of Beberibe. Beberibe is, of course, is not as developed as Fortaleza, but it has a very decent infrastructure with large supermarkets, some level of healthcare, services, markets, and so on. The second village in our list is Canoa Quebrada. Translation for that would be a broken canoe. Canoa Quebrada is in the municipality of Aracati, and Canoa Quebrada is not that far from Fortaleza as well. It could be like a couple of hours driving from Fortaleza. It depends on how fast or how slow you drive, but in average a couple of hours. And the Canoa Quebrada has a very unique feeling. It's still a fisherman village, and there is a lot of options for leisure. There is kite surf. You could rent a canoe and navigate like by the shoreline. Adventures like on the mountains of sand, white sand, just like Morro Branco. And in addition to that, it has one of probably the best nightlifes in Ceará. They have reggae clubs, they have clubs for other rhythms, they have really nice restaurants, and most of the nightlife revolves around this street called Broadway, and it has a really nice nightlife with fisherman village style, so it's kind of unique. And it's not by chance that when you go to Canoa Quebrada, you're gonna see a lot of Europeans. Americans, they are still discovering the state of Ceará, so I would say for every 10 foreign citizens, you're gonna find one American citizen. Canoa Quebrada, it's a must. If you like Ceará, if you're gonna come here to spend a few weeks, a month, you should definitely visit Canoa Quebrada. Our third option is Beberibe. Beberibe is the same municipality where you find Morro Branco, but Beberibe, it's a huge municipality, not in terms of infrastructure, it's more about the geographical location. So for some reason, one of the largest municipalities in the state of Ceará, you have other attractions worth visiting, many different beaches, many different different resorts, not so much a resort like you would find in Mexico. Services, they are usually good when you go to these higher end properties, hotels, pousadas. Service is really top notch because fortunately the salary in Ceará is not that high. So when there are foreign citizens or even people from the south of the country visiting Ceará, they usually have a much higher purchase power. So the hotels, pousadas, and other accommodations, they are going to be able to offer a really good workforce to gather and take care of all the needs of their guests. Beberibe in general has very good infrastructure, large supermarkets, services, banks, while still retaining the kind of small town feeling. Our fourth choice is Jericoacoara. Jericoacoara is probably the first or the top choice for many people, for a lot of foreign citizens, but Jericoacoara is not easily accessible. It's actually a 6 to 7 hour drive from Fortaleza. If you go by the speed limit, right? Like I'm sure some drivers, they get there in 5 hours, but if you go by the speed limit and driving as you should, you're probably gonna take between 6 to 7 hours. And in the final stage of your trip, there's gonna be an area that regular cars are unable to drive because of the sand, because of the risk of getting stuck. So usually most people, they are gonna park in Jijoca de Jericoacoara. It's the municipality where Jericoacoara is. Jericoacoara is the village and Jijoca de Jericoacoara is the municipality. So they park by the municipality downtown, and then you're gonna have some special trucks that are gonna take the tourists from the municipality downtown into the village of Jericoacoara. It's highly advisable. Don't try your luck. A lot of people, they think they can get there by just driving, they get stuck, and then you're gonna spend big bucks because when you're stuck, there are gonna be locals eagerly helping you, but there's gonna cost a lot of money because you have no option other than paying whoever is there to get you unstuck and take you to the village of Jericoacoara. Jericoacoara is not easily accessible, so like older people, older foreign citizens, they could be there for maybe a weekend or a few days, but you shouldn't spend that long over there because if you have an emergency, you may be out of luck because the infrastructure over there is not well developed. There are no helicopters in the area often, so you may be in a really dangerous situation. So that's one of the reasons why we don't have Jericoacoara higher in our ranking, but it's an amazing place. There are so many different landscapes in Jericoacoara. The village itself, like you're gonna find a really good restaurants. There is a ton of options for leisure, and they are on the more expensive side. That's another reason why it's not ranking higher in our list. Probably landscape-wise, it's one of the most beautiful places in Ceará, if not in the entire country of Brazil. Definitely worth visiting, maybe for a weekend or for a few more days, and a very solid option. So the fifth and last village in our list is Fortim, Fortim, Fortim. And Fortim is also reasonably close to Fortaleza. It's probably 1 hour and a half drive from Fortaleza. It's a small village, somewhat comparable to Morro Branco, and Fortim is gaining a lot of attention because the last public administrations, they are doing a really great job in terms of preserving the natural landscapes and also providing good, reasonable infrastructure. It's still like a small infrastructure. You're not gonna find like hospitals. You don't find the same number of supermarkets you find in Beberibe, for instance. But Fortim is close to Beberibe, so if you are in Fortim, you can always drive to Beberibe to buy food and other items. And if you have an emergency, you are just 1 hour and a half from Fortaleza, which is a plus for older citizens. In terms of kite surf, it's one of the best locations in the entire Ceará. So Europeans who are into kite surf, they flock, they go to Fortim as their top destination for kite surf. And there are other options for leisure, a pretty solid choice as well. It's worth mentioning that there are dozens of other options in terms of small cities and villages throughout Ceará. They are usually further away from Fortaleza. They don't have the same infrastructure that those options options closer to Fortaleza offer. Again, it may be a very good option for someone who doesn't need to rely on healthcare and major infrastructure. And as a bonus, we are listing in the description below 5 other destinations that you may want to consider for your trip or for long term in Ceará. I hope you liked this video and follow us for more.